Hello! It is the 18th of July, and today's going to be a good one because I'm going to talk about my experience on dating apps and what I think about them in general. And I make this at a time quite fitting because the girl I've been talking to for a while, well, unfortunately, that has ended. It's quite a fresh thing, but there's no bad feelings, to be fair. So, it ended on a good note. But yeah, so what do I think about dating apps? Well, firstly, what have I used in the past? Well, there's Hinge, there's Bumble, and there's Tinder, right? And so from my experience, Hinge is the best one. It far outshines the other ones from my experience. Like, people on there actually like put a bit of effort in and are looking for something, beyond like a hookup. Sometimes, most of the time. Whereas Tinder and Bumble, they're kind of a bit more. I mean, Bumble is all about the girls making the first move, which they don't like doing anyway. So I think it's a bit pointless because, I mean, the most you'll get is like a hi. And that's like girls shooting their shot most of the time for you. So, it's on the guy to usually make that first move, which is fair, in my opinion. But creating like an app around girls making the first move is kind of counterproductive because it doesn't work that well. Although saying that, you can still get like decent results on there. Tinder is a waste of time. I stand by that. It's just so like, it's just bad. I don't like it. No one's like ever that serious, and you can debate, like, you shouldn't be serious on dating apps, blah blah blah. But like, no, everyone just is looking for a shag or a hookup on that. So if you're using it for something serious, I would not recommend Tinder. So yeah, now the apps are out of the way. What do I think of dating apps in general? And what has my experience been? Well, okay, I'll cover general first. So, in general, from a guy's perspective, I think unless you're above, and this is cutthroat, but unless you're above like a certain percentile, I don't really think they're worth using. Dating apps are very shallow. I mean, they're based mostly like 90% on looks, which is just how it works. And I'm of the opinion that like women date upwards usually, and they like to try and get the best match they can get, whereas men, they don't mind like dating downwards. I mean, shoot me, that's just what I think, alright? Anyway, as a guy, you have to have like a very like clean cut profile. Like, even if you're a good looking guy, if you have like bad pictures or like, something's like off, you're not going to get matches. I used to have quite a shit profile and I like barely got any matches, and I made some tweaks and I started getting matches. And I've had friends that have experienced the same thing. I think for a lot of guys, like, it isn't worth using, and that's just being brutally honest. I also think if you live in a bit of a desolate area like I do, outside of a major city, and you don't drive, I know they sound appealing, like a bit more appealing because like there's less contact in your area, but it's a pain in the ass to like get there, and you do spend a lot of money on transport and stuff, and it automatically launches you into a long distance relationship. Like you're on the back foot off the start, and don't get me wrong, like I've got major respect for people who can do long distance, and some people are cut out for it. I can't really do it. I've tried, but I just can't. But I would say it is always easier when they're closer to you and not so far away, you know. But it really is up to the person. But yeah. And thirdly, I think they encourage quite toxic habits. So, you know, ghosting is very prevalent on there, very normal. And it really depends on how, you know, if you're someone that like I was, for example, like I'm not ashamed to admit there was a time where I would like quite, it would like affect my mood because I was going on it so much. I was like, the second I woke up, I was like, yeah, what's this? Who's that? And then I was just checking it throughout the day. It's very unhealthy to do that. And I know not everyone is attached to it like that. Some people can just be like, oh, yeah, look at it like once or twice a day or like once every 2 days. It really depends on kind of, it's dopamine, isn't it? So like it really depends on what your relationship with dopamine is. But for me, it was like, oh, you know, Gabrielle or fucking like Savannah or, you know, Georgia likes you and like has said something, and like that for me, that would be like, whoa, yeah, like fuck yeah, you know, it would really like put me on cloud nine for a second, you know. But then there'd be other times you'd open it and you'd be like, oh, like nothing's happened, oh, like no one's responded. What I'm saying is don't become like, not reliant, but don't, you know, don't be too into it. Don't pick your moments, but don't be checking it every 2 seconds. I found turning your notifications off is great with that sort of thing. Now, what was my experience using it? Well, I did all right. You know, I was on all 3 apps for a while. I did all right. I was getting matches, like nice, like compliments and stuff. I've had quite a few, you know, successful, how should we put it, interactions with girls, like from dating apps. And, you know, like I did enjoy myself and they were cool and stuff, but I think, you know, like the last few like serious things I've been through with girls have been from dating apps. You know, like what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the last 4 things I've been through, like that were like kind of like long term, have been from dating apps, and none of them have worked. You know, so I think there definitely is potential for them to play out and work. But it's becoming increasingly rare, I think. And especially, like, if you're new to the app, once you, like, have a bad experience, you tend to become a bit more, like, apprehensive. And it kind of changes the way you use the app, I think. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of, like, bad practices as well, and I can't imagine how bad it is for a girl, because I'm a guy, right? And I you know, I get matches and I still find it like quite taxing on like the mental and, you know, stuff like that. So I can't imagine for a girl it would just be like AIDS. Like I bet it would be very difficult, you know. You'd have to be competing with like constant charmers trying to like sleep with you straight away and stuff, and I just can't imagine it's that healthy or fun. But, you know, like, you can't stereotype everyone. You know, I do think there's people on there with genuine intentions as well. It's just difficult. You need to figure out who you're speaking to, but it's obviously easier to do that in person rather than on over text. And I've experienced it where, like, you know, I thought I was speaking to someone and then it turns out like they were just completely different in person, which is probably wasn't calculated or like on purpose, but you know, it like catches you off guard and you just kind of like, oh. Like you meet up with them and you're like, you know, and it makes for a bit of like a, you know, an awkward exchange. I don't know. In my opinion, it really depends on what you're using it for. Like, if you're just using it for like fun, then like, yeah, I would say you could use them. But if you're considering something a bit more serious, a bit more long term, like I say this as someone who's like had 4 like fall throughs now on the long term, I just think it's better to meet them in person, you know? Which, unfortunately, the advantage to dating apps is it sets you up and you can just type. You don't actually have to have the balls to say it in person, right? You can kind of just like slide in and like with a message and stuff and start from there. But in person, you can kind of gauge pretty quickly like what the person is actually like rather than what they're like virtually, you know. And it will save you a lot of like pain, I think, in the long run, where you're not like caught off guard. But yeah, in conclusion, basically, probably as a guy, I would say don't use them unless you're like confident in your appearance and you take good photos and you're not looking for anything too serious. Yeah, that's what I think anyway. But also sometimes I encourage you to make your own conclusions because, you know, perhaps you will have a different experience to me, but, you know, it was either like always, oh, they're too far, or like you meet them and you talk to them for a while and something's just like missing, which I suppose is what dating is, you know. But I just think in person you're able to like suss that out a bit more quickly, and you won't have to like, if you meet someone in person, likelihood is they live quite near you, not like 20-30k kilometers away, you know. But it is what it is, you know. Saying that, I have had some like lovely times and like interactions and like people that I've met off of them. So maybe if you're just looking to meet more people, then I would say like maybe go for it, you know. If you're lonely, you want a bit more social contact, yeah. But just be cautious about, you know, getting played by like Hinge warriors who like are on there 24/7 and just wanting like one thing, especially if you're a girl. But yeah, that is my opinion about dating apps. But all in all, don't take them too seriously.